This week, I want to talk about something that happened that was pretty significant early in the week, and that is that some news came out and some articles were written about a mortgage company called UWM United Wholesale Mortgage. And what happened was, depending on which website you're looking at, in one website, they're talking about a voicemail that was allegedly left by the CEO of that company that was pretty profane. Don't even Google it if you're not okay with those words. But the second thing was this class action lawsuit that's been filed against that wholesale lending company. So I want to just kind of go through this a little bit so that whether or not you're in the mortgage industry or real estate field, you would understand what's happening, because it does matter for everybody out there. This is actually a really big deal. So the lawsuit that came out is basically borrowers saying that they were unfairly treated by a broker who sent them to UWM. And what the basic concept is brokers are supposed to be shopping a loan to multiple lenders. In fact, when you read brokers' websites, oftentimes it will say, come to us because we have access to all of these lenders. We can go find you the best rate, the best service, and the best experience. And so they're advertising, when you come to me, you're basically going to somebody who has access to everybody out there. And it's true. Brokers do have access to a lot of lenders that when you go to one lender, you might not get access to. So the concept is brokers should be shopping. The allegations are that some brokers aren't, that they send 90+% of their business to one lender. Now, the lawsuit also covers that one lender happens to have threatened everybody that sends them business, that if you send business to their competitor, they would cut you off and or sue you for a bunch of money, and they've actually filed lawsuits over this. So yes, there was some alleged pressure for brokers to not send loans to these other lenders and to only send loans to this one lender. So let me just address a few parts that might be an issue here. Number one, if a broker is advertising that they can shop to multiple lenders and they only send it to one, the broker will have a problem with potentially state regulators, as well as the Federal Trade Commission, as well as the CFPB, because that is deceptive. So what the law says is you cannot be deceptive when you're talking to borrowers in your advertisements. So if I say I shop you to everybody, but I don't, I send you to one, I have now deceived you into thinking that you're getting a much better array of services, array of products, when you're not. And so the biggest thing I can see here is some advertising violations from brokers that are doing that wrong. The other thing is some states actually have a law that says if you don't send your loans to more than X numbers of lenders, then you're actually not a broker, you're just a lender. And then they would treat you as such and require licensing as such. That is a huge problem for a mortgage broker, because if a mortgage broker is only sending it to one lender and the state comes in and says, you're not a broker, you're a lender, where's your license? And they don't have one, this could cause massive risk for that broker. But the biggest deal of all is that a consumer has trusted a loan officer to get them the best deal on that day from the best lender on that day. And brokers need to take that trust and really handle it well. They need to go out and find the best deal. They need to go out and look for, what makes sense for this consumer. And it's not that it's all about rate. If there's a better situation for a consumer going over here than over here, then that should be presented to the consumer. I just got off a call yesterday where I was speaking for an hour on how does a loan officer sell a higher rate or a higher fee? And the answer is they don't sell it, they present everything to the consumer and let the consumer make that choice. If the consumer doesn't have a choice and it was implied that they do have a choice, that's where the problem comes in. So if you ask me, when I look at these suits, I'm not as worried about a voicemail that was left with a lot of swearing. I'm much more worried about the consumer not getting access to the best programs on that day when that's what was advertised. That's what I've got for you this week. For more on this, we have our continuing education that just launched, so you can jump into Coop Plus. Go to knowledgecoop.com, get into Coop Plus, go access our continuing education for 2024, and all the states and federal classes are in there. So have a great week. I'll see you next week.